wow, I'm getting all these nice things and rewarded and congratulated and praised, rewarded through money and everything else for doing this thing. Okay, now it's time to do a new thing. And there's a juggling act that goes on of, do I want to give them what they want, which I made, and I guess I could, or do I have to follow this thing that's going to bum everybody out? Probably, but might be greater in the long run. But you know, it's again, I'd like to say those things never enter into your mind. And when you write, you go in a room, a lead room that keeps out all external stimulant. But that's not the way it works for me. You're aware that if I put a record out that there's not any chance any song could ever be hummed or remembered or put on a radio or whatever, then I can't be disappointed when, oh wow, it didn't go that way because it doesn't have those things in it, When I was around Al, early 90s, it was impressive, the kind of legacy and the level of not PC, not no flannel fucking shirt and save the earth. It was like finally getting the courage and just beating my head against the wall enough to realize that I'm either going to die or I've got to get my shit together. Took me a while, but I chose to get my shit together at the risk of not losing what might have been good. Maybe I need that romantic notion of I need to be high to be inspired or whatever it might be, But it was more important to me, even if I lost all that, just to be alive and try to redeem myself in my own eyes. And as I found that it's honestly more fun for me now. It's certainly more fun and rewarding to be present and feel like I'm doing some of the best stuff I've done. I'm not reliant on anything else, and I remember it.
I quit drinking, but I've discovered caffeine, and I just keep drinking coffee, and it's just fucking great.
There was two different people, two different personalities. Al was an extrovert, I was an introvert. We both had our insecurities. We both were dealing with the same energies, but the reaction to it was different. And what people were maybe in some way, what they were attaching themselves to was different within it. And the study to me was just that, Al is an amazing personality, and Al could always create this energy on stage, and it dealt with controlling the opposites and almost pushing somebody to their very limit to make them angry or to make them fall apart. Earlier on in my career, I was always a bit worried that if kids met me and didn't see this psychopath on stage, but saw that this person actually could put words together and was kind and compassionate, and which I always was. The greatest kick for me was sometimes going out and talking to the kids who didn't get in the show. The street kids that didn't have the money and stuff like that, and they would always be outside by the bus, and it was far more interesting to me than being backstage and talking to the industry people and just that whole pile of shit. I got way more out of those experiences. And when kids did actually meet me, the fascinating thing for me was that they actually embraced that, because it was kind of, it completed the picture for them that they didn't have to just be angry and violent and that this was just a form of expression, and it was something that we all share, and that we all, it's not something that you should tuck away and repress. It's something that exists within all of us. And maybe that's, when I look back on it now, maybe that's something that people did attach to and was actually kind of a more positive, message out of all of that anger, darkness, pseudo-Satanism, or whatever it is, Al's politic, the politic at its very core was the same. I think what we talked about, what we were in dissent against is the same. It's just the effect is different. And I think that comes down to the music in a lot of ways. The volume, how ferocious it is, and the, you know, that aggro side of the music, that's something that again is so tribal and so inherent to our own civilization, going back to when we were cave people.
I listen to Ministry to this day, and you know, that's never going to be done. The magic is never going to be done. We have it; it's captured. As far as where they're at now and what they're doing, you know, I don't know, but I can tell you that if they're playing, I'm going to go check it out. You know, I mean, that's one band that has really stayed true to what it's been about all this time. I haven't given up on any of my old loves, my old tastes, and you know, that band. I mean, you know, we play them here at the radio station all the time. You know, and you know, it will always be a part of who I am and what gets me off, and a way to feel connected to an emotion. You know, to the drama, to the show. You know, because for better or for worse, that show, that drama is a very, very real part of life that I think everybody can identify with. I just don't know if everybody wants to identify with it sonically, but we all have those feelings. You know, when you're talking about the disease of addiction, it's not really about pleasing anybody else. I mean, the fact of the matter is that it's a destructive, horribly lonely, miserable existence when you get into the, you know, the levels of the depths of where I got to, and certainly a lot of my peers have got to. You know, frankly, we were unaware of what the record label wanted. You know, we could give a fuck. You know, I mean, because you'd have the side of the company that's like loves the mystique and loves the mystery, and then you have the side that wants to throw you into rehab, and you can tell them all to go eat a dick, to be honest with you. You know, because it's so, the world becomes so small.
I never got to go to shows. I was too young. As before, I never really got to go to any concerts, any of that kind of shit, because my parents were super Christians, and I wasn't allowed to do that kind of stuff or stuff like that. So I was in the, you know, listening to those records that I hid in the middle of the night when my parents were sleeping. I had the headphones on. I was totally into this stuff. So the shit was crazy, and all the drummers and 15 guitar players and all this shit on stage, and it was just dark. It wasn't all lit up crazy or anything. It was just like, what the fuck is this? This is some sick shit. And he'd have his big hat on. You couldn't really see his face. All you saw was a beard and the long black hair. And you're like, who is this fucking crazy motherfucker right here? I really loved that scene. I loved Skinny Puppy, and I loved Ogre stuff, and that whole Chicago Wax Tracks, that whole scene, all those bands that came out. It's like a TV, fucking Pigface, all those bands. I don't think any of them were around if it wasn't for Ministry and the Skinny Puppy and those bands that really started that shit out. No, I mean, you talk to like maybe Limp Bizkit that did Thieves. They covered that, they do that shit live. And what pissed me off more than anything in the world about that fucking Limp Bizkit fans thought that Limp Bizkit did that. I wanted to punch people in the fucking face because of that. I wanted to punch Fred in the fucking face because they did that and kids thought it was a fucking Limp Bizkit song. It's so fucking disrespectful. I was fucking pissed when the kids were like, will you play that? The Limp Bizkit song things. I was like, oh, it made my blood fucking boil. After their show, I ended up hanging out at, God, sorry my brain's fucked from all the drugs I did over the years. Timothy Leary's house. Fucking trippiest night of my life, because I'm sitting there and I'm at Timothy Leary's house cutting cheese with him for hors d'oeuvres, talking about, I don't know, God knows what. But in his fucking house, there was a room full of musicians. There's a room full of fucking artists watching Akira, the Japanese, at that time, that just came out. So it's all these artists, musicians, like fucking another room full of like just writers and poets. It's like, I was like in the middle, and it's just Korn just started, and we hadn't even signed, and I was around all these, like around Helmet, and those guys were heroes to me, Jesus Lizard, and fucking Therapy, and all this crazy shit, and I just remember just like, holy shit, this is what it's all about. I'm at fucking Timothy Leary's house. Holy Jesus shit Christ. I'm with the Helmet and the Jesus Lizard and Therapy, and those were all my, I love those bands, and talking to all these, this is like out of a fucking, the Doors movie or some shit, you know? It was like what my rock and roll fantasy was all about. So it was like a super amazing night I'll always remember the rest of my life.